right, who wants to hear about high-octane adventures and the latest and greatest on the motor scene? It's time to rev it up with John and Jess on Joy 1340.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Rev It Up with John and Jess.
Hi, everybody.
We got a couple new things this week. We've got kind of a crazy week. I mean, welcome back to 98.7 FM. I screwed it up again, but I'll get better at it. What you said, you say that part. How about that?
Thanks for joining us on Joy 1340 AM at 98.7 FM.
Part of the Milwaukee radio group now that we're part of the team here.
Home of the Hog.
Yeah, Home of the Hog and 96.5 KLH. So we're happy to be on their team, I guess.
Do you know what's been weighing heavily on my mind lately?
Oh, boy. Pay attention, everybody. This is going to be good.
Thanksgiving and the food.
And the food?
That's going to be available.
You're talking about the diesel.
What? No.
What, the delivery to diesel?
No, I'm talking about mashed taters and gravy.
Well, yeah, but how are we going to get it there if we don't have diesel fuel?
I'm not worried about it. The
But
Pilgrims didn't have diesel, did they?
Okay, that's true. Okay.
You know that meme I posted the other day?
So you're concerned that we're not going to have food in the stores?
No, what? Why are you taking it to this level? I'm just dreaming of mashed taters and gravy. I posted that meme not too long ago of that lady going down a river of gravy in a kayak on a mountain of mashed potatoes. If I had 3 wishes, that's...
You'd be the first one, yeah. It wouldn't be for money. It'd be mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah, 100%.
I just want to sleep on the couch.
You do sleep on the couch?
I want to sleep on the couch afterwards.
Anyway.
But I like the dessert, too.
Do you want to tell the cool cats and kittens what you're up to next week?
Okay, so next week we're actually filming in La Crosse for Monster Truck Nitro Tour out of, I believe they're out of Arizona and California. Mm-hmm. We had a good friend of ours, Max, called back in, and as everybody knows, we had the whole crew kind of out in, where were we in Wausau for that one before?
Yeah.
But we had Mike Fonder, our friend, was out there from Monster Truck Hall of Fame, and we got asked to do the coverage for the Motor Mania Media, which we got the kids up, had a lot of fun with that one.
Yep.
And we got asked to come back there doing a neon Monster Truck tour.
Oh.
Kind of mimicking some of the Hot Wheels tour.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked us to come up. I believe Austin and I and a couple of the other guys from the crew were going up Monday night, and we'll be filming all day for some commercials and looking forward to a new 2023 schedule with them around the country for filming and hosting some shows.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Are you going to go with on a couple of them?
On a couple of them, yeah.
Only where the warm weather is, I'm guessing?
Yes. Yeah. And speaking of warm weather, our guest today, I'm not a jealous person by any means, but I am jealous of Joe. And you know why I'm jealous? Because Joe is in Texas, my second home.
Joe, is it warm down there?
It has been actually phenomenal down here. It's raining today, so don't be too jealous of it about today. But, yeah, it's been gorgeous weather.
Well, then I'm jealous of you yesterday. And the fact that you have a GTO. Tell us about your GTO, your sweet GTO.
The GTO I have it's a 1967 GTO. It was actually my father's. He built it before I was even being thought of. And back in the day.
Yeah, back when he was happy, hey?
Yeah. He built it in 1968. He was at a salvage yard, and there's a GTO front end that was wrecked, that was rear-ended, and a Le Mans that was front end. He put the two together, and back then it wasn't common to have a street car that's actually drag race.
Yeah, very common.
Today it's common, but back then you didn't do that. You either had a drag car or you had a street car, and so he had both. And I'll tell you what, growing up and stuff, that was the family trophy, if you will, the jewel. Mm-hmm. And his colors were blue and gold, and so every vehicle that he ever did, he really, they were blue and gold. And it was a special paint job that he'd always do up on stuff. And it was a 4-speed car, and it's funny, as a kid, I remember the car going to the track. I remember my mom taking us to the store in it, too. She could drive this thing.
Oh, nice. Grocery getter.
That's cool.
It wasn't your normal
Very cool, Mom.
GTO.
Yeah.
Did Mom have a cigarette in her hand, too?
Probably did. Who knows? But this thing was special. It was really different. And, I had a Mickey Thompson cross frame with 2 carburetors. He had a homemade hood scoop on it. Just the shifter, I remember the shifter. It was a straight inline, like a Mr. Gasket style.
Oh, sure, with the reverse lockout.
Yeah, the reverse was a separate one. Yeah.
So, Jess, what we're talking about is
it's really hard to miss the gear.
Yeah. So,
pull the teeth up and
what we're talking about, Jess, is that instead of having an H pattern for shifting,
Uh-huh.
it was all right in line.
it
You just
was
go
in
1,
line.
2, 3, 4, and it was a downshift gear and everything. It was
Okay.
really cool for racing back in the 60s and early 70s.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very neat
And
piece.
it spent most of its life in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't one of those things that you could always afford to do growing up. But I'll tell you what, that car is responsible really for me being who I am today.
Oh.
And I'll never forget being in the back seat when he would go to a practice launch site and just launch it. And my God, you're just a little kid in the back seat, not wearing a seatbelt, nothing in the back then. And I'm still here today. Amazing.
Well,
And, you hear the tires, the motor screaming, the tires going, you're just sucked back. The windshield is just a blur. And I was hooked.
That's awesome.
That's all it took.
Well, and that's where, as we're talking about, that's who you are today. Bringing you on the show was not for the discussion of the GTO, but actually, Joe is one of our guests here today, and actually was at one of our shows last year, and a big hit around the country here. And Joe, your show or your business is mobile dyno tuning, correct?
Mobile Dyno Masters. Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, Mobile Dyno Masters. Yep.
Can you tell us what exactly is dyno testing and why do you recommend it?
Wow. Okay, so that's
In a nutshell.
yeah, I get it.
Somebody did their homework, Joe.
Yeah, everybody looks at it at a dyno maybe a little bit differently, but bottom line is, we have a chassis dyno, engine dyno, we have them all. But basically, a dyno, it's a tuning tool. Is really what it is. And basically, you can put your vehicle on there. You find out how efficient your vehicle is running. It will give you that information, especially if you know what you're doing on it. And then you can turn around and make recommendations for someone to correct. If they're, you might want to validate. Hey, I got a brand new car. It's supposed to make X amount of horsepower. It's what they advertise. Is it doing that? Okay, you put it on there and you find out. Because if not, you're under warranty. Go back and do it. But we like to help people we like to tweak and tune. And, you try to get the most out of something. So, I don't know about you, but, when you're drag racing or you're racing, you're doing anything, you want the most that you can get.
So your best, I was just going to say,
efficiency.
basically you're just trying to get the best performance out of your car or truck
Correct.
or whatever.
And
yeah.
again, it just boils back down to efficiency. How efficient is your vehicle actually working?
And we did notice that last year at our show, at the Motor Mania show in June at the fairgrounds. You actually you helped a couple friends of mine. I think it was Brian Simmons. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I believe you had the orange Mopar on there, right? Was it the Challenger, or what did you have on there?
He did, yeah.
Okay.
I remember that.
And you actually gained him a lot more horsepower, a lot more torque out of that car by helping him tune that day, didn't you?
Well, I think, again, the dyno, the numbers don't lie.
Yep.
And that's the good thing if you have something that's repeatable. We had a couple people that were there that we helped out. I remember one gentleman, Saturday morning, he jumped on the dyno. He had an Edelbrock fuel injection system on his car. And I think we picked him up like 30 or 40 horsepower. But it was really, for him, it was just about the drivability of it. He was not happy with how this vehicle was driving. But being on the dyno, we were actually able to identify he had his fuel pressure wrong. He had the distributor, and just a couple of mistakes that were made.
Mm-hmm.
And we got him turned around, and he actually was really much happier when he left.
Wow. How long does a test last? How long does it take?
So just getting a baseline, it only takes about 15 minutes. 10, 15 minutes. It doesn't take very long. The hard part is really strapping the vehicle down. Because every vehicle is a little bit different, and that's what you got to know. So you drive the vehicle. For us, with the mobile chassis dyno, it's a large trailer with the dyno built into it, and so you got to drive the vehicle up on there. You find the right spot to strap it down. You got to make sure that the rear wheels are free and they're on the dyno center and stuff like that. And once you do that, that's the hard part. The pull itself is only seconds. It doesn't take very long.
Okay.
And
Now,
You get a lot of information in a short period of time.
Now, you did say mobile. Obviously, that's in your title. So do you travel the entire country?
If we have a show going on, like you guys were gracious, to invite us over and stuff. So yeah, if someone gets a hold of me, they call me up and say, hey, listen, we got a big show going on, and we think it's we can make it work business wise. Then yeah, we're absolutely all about that. We enjoy having fun. For us, yes, it's a business, but really it's a lot of excitement. You get people on there and help them out.
Yeah, I noticed last year, and for our listeners and followers that don't know, Joe Mobile Dyno Masters is actually based out of New York, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Dexter, New York.
Yeah, and we kind of went back and forth on social media for almost about a year, and until we finally connected last year to get you out to the show, and it was a huge hit. Obviously we had some rain on Saturday, but you even had, which I was really shocked, and I loved watching it all, and I know we got a lot of views and a lot of followers on that one. But you actually had Anthony Smith, and you put Hercules on a dyno last year.
That was
last
awesome.
summer. It was.
I got to tell you, that was awesome.
That was a highlight of the day, and I think that was really a thing where you and I looked at each other and we started talking. With so much going on, we thought, okay, this is going to be a game changer. Now we need to up our game for 2023 and have a challenge, and we need to have some awards going out and stuff like that. And I was just so happy that you were a part of it. It was so much fun to see.
Now, I could be wrong, but up here, I'm just speaking because of my experience or lack thereof. Like, I had no clue that this even existed. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a thing. And the only reason I knew it was a thing because I cruised past it on my red golf cart like a million times. I was like, I wonder what's going on over there. So I don't know that people up here, well, this is coming from Jess, who's not a car guy type thing. Like, I think,
a car guy.
right? But like, it's common knowledge. I didn't know about it. I think more people need to know about it, and that's why we have you on the show, because it's just such a great thing to offer. And I can't wait to have you back this coming year and for the years to come, because it's just great for the racing people and anybody else that just wants to get the most out of their vehicle.
Jess, I got to tell you, you're absolutely spot on. A lot of people don't know about it that they should, or they have a misconception about it. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, people think, only hot rodders, only, race cars, need to get on the dyno. And that's not true. Like I said, I've proved literally factory vehicles, that you think you're buying something. It's supposed to have X amount to it. And, maybe the customer thinks that they have what they're supposed to. Oh, dealer says this, and well, that's great. Why don't you get on there and validate it? Find out. Because if it's off, get it fixed. You may not be getting the gas mileage that you think you should be getting.
I was just going to ask about gas. A very important subject in this day and age is gas efficiency. So that's great to know.
Well, yeah, we can help people. Again, tuning is a wonderful thing. It's not. People also have a misconception about tuning. I'm sorry, I hate to burst the bubble for a lot of people and don't want to step on no one's toes, but there's 4 things that make an engine run: air, fuel, spark, compression. Tuning is nothing more than adjusting the air-fuel ratio and the spark.
Oh.
That's it. Unless you are changing components or something like that, when you go to tune, you're just trying to get the right. It's a dance. The air, fuel, and the spark, it's a dance inside the motor. Every engine can be different. You think you might be building 20 of them exactly the same. Guess what? One might like something a little bit different. Or
I'm so glad you said that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So glad you said that because last week, and as you know, we had one of our good friends on here, Troy Nicholas, with Abby Normal, one of the cars that actually ran against Hercules last year with the black Mustang. But we were talking about how hot rodders and street racers, there is so much of a science and knowledge that needs to be done on these cars and to make them tune and do whatever. And that is where I just want to give you so much credit and respect on my end and for what you do. It doesn't matter what I saw you go on the dyno with and in your videos on social media. You have got a knowledge that just blows my mind of how to tune these cars and get that mixture right, that combination right to get these guys to perform. And one thing I wanted to bring up next, on top of the respect, is some guys come to you and they claim, I had this shop built it so-and-so, it's got 800 horse. And you just kind of smile and smirk and you're like, okay. And then all of a sudden, you're like, the numbers don't lie, and it goes through. And I remember having a car out there. This was about 2 years ago when we first did Motor Mania. We had a different guy with a smaller dyno thing come out. But the guy claimed that he had, like the 500-600 horse to the rear wheel, and it only turned out to be 330.
Ooh.
Well, and then the owner of the car was there, and the builder of the car was there with the shop, and they all looked at each other like the deer in the headlight. I'm like, okay, somebody didn't. So, express a little bit on that one, Joe. Like, have you ever had those conversations or situations that come up like that?
buddy, I'm going to tell you almost every single time.
I love it. I love it. We got to get the camera. We got to do a live feed from your station in 2023 just to get reactions. All day
Yes.
long.
I'm gonna set up
you,
a shop. Yeah.
Even at that show we did with you, we had guys get on the dyno, completely turn around and say, "No way, man, your dyno's off. I had to take dyno someplace else," and all. And you're right. I just got to smirk, smile, and be like, "Okay." And I'll tell you though, one of the guys did turn around and leave. He went back to his tuner, and they figured out there was something wrong with the tune. Because I told him, I said, "Dude, your tune's off. I don't want to tell you. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. Your car's not. It's not right." He came back. Finally, he got the numbers he was supposed to get the first time around. But
Nice.
you know what? He was big enough to try and say,
That's
"I'm
cool.
sorry. It wasn't your dyno. If you're right, it was my tune." I get it. You know, I totally understand. We don't want to, but if he did not get on that dyno and find that out, he wouldn't have known.
Absolutely.
Jess is big on apparel. Do you think we should have some shirts made next year that say, "It's not my dyno, it's your tune"?
Yeah. Yes.
I like coming up with new things, as you know, both of you do.
I will rock that every day of the week.
What do you think about those shirts or stickers for you? I think that'd rock. I think that'd be so cool.
Listen. I got. You know what? That'd be funny as hell. It's feelings. My wife's nickname for my dyno. She goes, "It's a big baby man dyno."
All
and
right.
She goes, "I know women can be catty and all that." She goes, "I have never seen so many grown men bitch, whine, cry, complain." She goes, "Because they think they're supposed to put this out." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you know."
I believe
okay. It's funny. She's right though. I mean, I have guys all the time. If they don't get the number that they want, it's got to be your equipment. Your equipment's off.
Oh, sure. It's always someone else's fault.
It's always your fault, man. You know.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's always my fault. I'm like, all right, well, and then you get the guys who are like, well, it's a dyno jet. It's not a Mustang, or this guy might have a Mustang, or this guy might, because there's different types of dynos that are out there and stuff. And I'll just tell you, the bottom line is, like I said, a dyno is nothing more than a tuning tool. So it's from where you start to where you finish. That's what makes a dyno important. You know, everybody wants to hear and see that number. Well, guess what? I picked out, when I bought my chassis dyno and I decided to go into this business, I want to be a mythbuster. I'm sick and tired of false advertising. You know, people say, "Oh, buy this air filter and it'll give you 10 horsepower. Oh, buy these headers, they'll give you 15 horsepower. I've got guys that literally build their car like that and say, "Well, I should have 25 horsepower more than stock."
What about the stickers?
Nobody.
What about the stickers you put alongside your windows or in the back windows? Does that add horsepower?
You know what to say?
I said, what about the stickers? Like, you know, remember back in the day when we were younger, and we put a Lakewood or a Hearst sticker in our rear window, you know, in the passenger rear window,
I think it makes it go
and
faster.
we put it on it. Does that add any horsepower? Because I really thought when I was about 16, I would buy the stickers.
100%.
Okay, 100%. That's what I thought.
I've had guys where it's a placebo, where they turn around and say, "Hey, I had this tune from this guy, and I'm 100 horsepower more now, and the car feels great." Come to find out, they're actually 50 horsepower less.
Oh, mind over matter, baby.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like I said, I have a lot of fun with it. It really is good, but you know, there's different types of dynos out there. You know, you have inertia dyno, eddy brake dyno, stuff like that, and I picked inertia dyno when I had my choice of dynos to buy, and the reason why I did that. And don't get me wrong, I own an eddy brake dyno as well for the motorcycles and stuff. And this is why I'm going to say what I'm going to say. The information you put in will reflect the information you get out. But inertia dyno, you can't. You can't fudge no numbers. You can't. There's no. You put the vehicle on there, it is what it is. So it's nothing more than a weighted wheel. And you know, Jess, I know one of your questions before is like, you know, how do you determine horsepower and stuff? Mm-hmm. Well, believe it or not, back in and this is very, very primitive, but a long time ago, how they first started determining horsepower was literally by a horse, and they had the horse pull a weighted amount of mass, and how fast that horse could move that weight from point A to point B.
Yeah,
determined horsepower. And that same principle is basically going on today with inertia dyno. So it's a weighted wheel. And as you're going down through, all it does is record how fast you can accelerate that weighted wheel in a certain amount of time, and it records your RPMs as well, so it can give you, where you're at for that power. But that's how you determine horsepower. How fast you can move an object from point A to point B in a certain amount of time. Just like drag racing. You want to figure out how much horsepower you have? Well, you went from, the starting line to the finish line. What was the mile per hour? And they usually base miles per hour is off the horsepower.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem with doing it off the ET, your lapse time, is because, then you might have traction problems. You might have this, you might have that, right?
Yeah.
So there's always different factors involved and things you can go by, but that's the meat and potatoes of it. That's the basic point.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, there's so much to learn. I just have no idea. It's just really interesting to hear this kind of thing.
It's amazing. I mean, to read the stuff and you'll go through and actually show people that this industry and this world is not just about a bunch of loud hot rodders like to drive their stuff. I mean, there's science and the technology that's coming in is amazing. Right, and that's, even you today, being such a big part of Motor Mania and this here now, you're learning stuff every day with these guys.
Yeah, because before then I'm like, let's just put the pedal to the metal. What's the problem? Let's go. Do it.
And there's so many different factors that they analyze and do and stuff like that. And that was one of the questions I had for you is, how did this start for you? I mean, obviously we had the history of the GTO with Dad and everything. How did you go from, obviously there must be a history of some tuning or some mechanical in the background, to go from doing that to doing the chassis dyno? Like, what was your background before that?
Why did I get into this?
Yeah, basically why, and what was the background, your history before that that made you a dyno master, I guess. There we go. You sound like a Transformers movie. How are you a dyno master? Who gave you the sword to do this?
I would say Masters is probably self-proclaimed, so I won't put too much weight on that. However, so I drag race and stuff, and I'm a Pontiac guy. So, and my brother races, my whole family. My father, he started this, we're all Pontiac. So the problem that I had was every time I wanted to go do something, there was, a lot of the shops around me, either someone didn't have a dyno or, we don't do Pontiacs. We only do Chevys or Fords or whatever the case was. Nobody was really set up to do anything. And I was like, my God, there's got to be something better, to try and do this. And I was selling Snap-on tools at the time. I had my own franchise, and I decided to get out of that. And I'm sitting around, I'm doing something. And my wife goes, "Well, what are you going to do now?" I said, "Man, I don't know. I don't really want to go back to just turning wrenches anymore. I'm getting older and stuff. And sorry, I'm not, my 20s and 30s and just bending over fenders is just not appealing anymore."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "Well, honestly, I've always wanted to own my own drag strip. Have like a completely one-stop shop type thing. Drag strip, dyno, repair shop, store, whole night." Well, that's not really in the cards at the moment. So I said, you know what? I like the dyno thing. I did see the TV show, Engine Masters and stuff. I was like, that's me. I like to tweak and tune. I like to see what works, what doesn't work. And instead of me going out spending, paying someone else, and the dyno shops I have gone to, they don't let you do anything. Like, it's we put your motor on, we make some pulls or whatever the case was. They don't let you get in there and do the tuning. They don't let you get in there and be involved. And I wanted to be involved because I didn't always agree with what they were doing.
That's awesome.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my own. So I did. I turned my shop into, like I said, we installed the engine dyno system in it. And for me personally, I know I do this differently than everybody else because my customers tell me this.
Mm-hmm.
I encourage the customers to be a part of it. Like, guys, come on in. You can help set up. You can do whatever. You guys, this is your engine. This is your vehicle. This is your motorcycle. Like, you guys, you should be a part of it. You should learn and know about this. You may not know anything prior. You may not be an expert. I have no problem explaining to you what we do as we do it, and you at least have an idea of what's going on before you leave.
That's awesome.
Jess, perfect example. Take your vehicle. You put your vehicle up on the dyno, you get to run your own vehicle.
Yeah, and I thought about it. Trust me.
At first, I've had so many wives, girlfriends, and stuff like that get up on the dyno, and they've had an absolute blast. You're always nervous the first couple times.
Sure.
You mean you don't have to take them to dinner and buy them diamonds all the time?
What?
Just ignore that guy. Just ignore him. Hey, Joe, can you tell us how much dyno testing costs?
So if you come to my shop, it's $75. We'll establish a baseline for $75. That's it. If I'm out doing a show and I got to travel or something like that, it's usually $100.
Uh-huh.
And I use the term. So usually it's $100 for 2 pulls. Now, in realistically though, I call it establishing a baseline because why? It might take 3 pulls. It might take 4 pulls. Now, the reason why I chose 2 pulls because it's simple. No one's vehicle should overheat within 2 pulls. Mm-hmm. Okay? If you do 2 pulls and they're the same number, if you're not changing nothing, why do you want to do a 3rd pull?
Right.
You're just beating your equipment. You know what I'm saying? So I do that for 2 pulls. Now, tuning, it's $100 an hour to rent the dyno, per se. You make all the pulls you want to make. And then, of course, tuning on top of that. If we tune it, that's one thing. But I know I have a lot of customers, they do their own tuning. Mm-hmm. They just don't have a dyno to do it. So
that's great.
And I'll tell you right now, for the guys who like to do remote tuning and stuff like that, we're all about it. We encourage it. But for the guys that go out on the street and they do these hits on the street and stuff like that, I'm telling you, don't do it. It's not good information. It's I don't want to say it's reckless because, we can keep control of our stuff, but it's just not practical. You can get into an accident, you get a speeding ticket.
Sure.
And on top of that,
the
Joe,
road surfaces change.
One big thing is that one big thing we want to get to before we got to cut out today is for all this information that you have out there. How do people get a hold of you and find you on social media and find your
Facebook
on
Mobile
Facebook?
Dyno Masters Facebook.
So just Mobile Dyno Masters on Facebook. That's the main link.
That's it.
Well, that is it. Well,
simple enough.
Joe, we're running out of time here, but thank you very much for all the info that you gave us today.
You.
Amazing, and we'll be in touch about our 2023 season. The great things we got coming up for you.
See you next year.
I look forward to working with you guys. You guys are awesome.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Okay.
Thanks, Blake.
All right, and Jess, what do we got left before we wrap it up here today? Look at that.
Hello.
That means get out.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Air Technologies, as well as Joe for coming on the show today. Thanks to our listeners for tuning in. Excuse me. Now I got tuning on the brain. Tuning in for Rev It Up with John and Jess. If anybody wants to send me show ideas or recipes for Thanksgiving, you can do so at jess@themotormania.com.
There we go. And, of course, tune in next week when who we got coming up next week?
We have the Mullet Machine.
I love that guy. I love that thing. So, all right, we're out of time. Tune in next week for the Mullet Machine, and tune us to every day on our sites, but Sundays at 1:30 on 98.7 FM and 1340 AM, part of the Greater Milwaukee Radio Group.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and remember, the older you get, the better you get, unless you're a banana.
See you later.
Bye.